Hello, I'm Preeti, and today we will be painting this golden hour sunset painting. Um, this is one of the paintings that you guys voted on my poll. So I'm going to take a stab on this one today on our live. While I paint this, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat so that I can tackle those. And while I paint, I will keep talking about the process that works for me. And it is not something that I'm saying works, there is no other way to do it, but this is what works for me and this is how I go about it. So let me know how you like my process and see if you can paint along with me. Before I start, I always try to get my palette arranged in a way that or my colors decided so that I'm not struggling while painting. So today we will be using these colors. I'm going to do the color mixes right now. So for the sky, which is a bit moody, I did use a supervision pigment, which was this blue. It is numbered 1759 and it's a layered pigment. So I did use this one, but today, for today's purpose, I'm going to try and mix the color. So this is the cobalt blue that I'm taking, and I might mix a bit of Indian yellow, and we'll see if we get the same color. So it's pretty close to the color that we're going for. I think if we kind of do a couple of variations, we might even get the same color. I think this is the shade. And then for the sky, I am going to use Indian yellow and bright, I think this is bright orange or transparent orange if I'm not wrong. And I haven't updated my palette since forever. And this is vermilion. So these are the shades. So here are the colors. This is the red tone. And since this is a warmer palette for the painting, I'm going to use all warm colors. And we'll use the same color for the water, only deepen it by uh, the textured wash or textured brush strokes later. Now for the palms, I'm going to first use yellow or yellow ochre, whichever you have that shade, and then we will mix green, which is going to be either ultramarine blue, and I'm going to see what I can mix. Wait a minute. So I'm going to either mix ultramarine blue and Hansa yellow or cobalt blue. I'm going to try with cobalt blue and Hansa yellow. If you have any bright yellow, you could use that. Yeah, this is the color I will go for with the second layer of palms. And we will deepen this by adding more blue for the shadows in the palm. So yeah, this is going to be our color palette, the blue, the yellows, and the orange. So let's get started. I do not want to delay any further. I'm going to wet my paper first. When I wet my paper, I make sure it's not puddly wet, it is just shiny wet, because um, I don't want my pigment to flow in places where they shouldn't be. So yeah, I'm just going to make sure that all the dripping water is taken care of before I start painting. Hi Ali, I hope I got your name right. So let's start with the blue for the sky. We can actually start with the yellow and the Indian yellow. So let me start with that color so that we don't muddy our water later. Uh, Most times we end up with muddying our golden hour sunset mainly because we mix too many colors. You should try and stick to two colors at a time. Um, that's the basic. I'm not saying there could be any number of reasons for having muddy colors, but that's one thing that can avoid a lot of muddiness. So I'm going to go in. So what I'm doing is I'm going in yellow in the center and on the sides where I know there will be a lot of brightness, leaving a certain area for the blue, not painting across. While my paper is still wet, I'm going to go in with a darker shade of yellow because I want it to look natural and I want it to look blended. I do not want it to look forced. Now this area is a bit on the pink side, so I'm going to try and blend this. My brush is damp and it's not puddly at all. You can see there is hardly any water because the paper is already wet, and if I'm going to go in with a lot of water on my brush, I will end up with a puddle, which I do not want. So be mindful of the water control. And now we're going to go in with vermilion. I did not go and dip any paint there, just going in with vermilion and then trying to make it pinkish. Just blend. If you don't have vermilion, you can go in with alizarin crimson. That works too. That's a bit more pink, so you may have to mix a little bit of orange with it. Gamboge works too if you have that pigment. So this is like the fiery sky that we've got, and pink on the bottom. Now I am going to paint the under painting for the water as well. I'm going to take the same pigment and drag it down. A little bit of yellow I took from my palette, and this is our first layer done. Before it dries out, I'm going to go in with my cobalt blue, mix it a little bit here with the Indian yellow that I had on my palette already, and then I'm going to go in. Make sure you do not have too much water on your brush. I will advise you not to use cerulean blue. It will lead to muddiness faster if it goes over your yellow, or it'll probably create a green sky. So you don't want that. I'm just adding a little more blue because generally the watercolors dry lighter than they are when they are wet. So I'm just trying to make sure that I have enough color on my paper before it starts to dry. Now you can see it looks like the glow is coming in from the center, and we're pretty much there with the first layer. In the meanwhile, is drying, do you have any questions? Do you have a preference on what would you like to paint next week? I'm going to put a poll. I just posted, hi Flora. Just tap on it and then I'll know. In the meanwhile, I'm going to go dry this first layer and come back. So the paper is completely dry. Now we're going to go in with painting the water first. So I'm going to start with the cobalt blue and mixed with the Indian yellow that I have on my paper, on my palette. Now make sure again your brush is not too wet. There is no dripping water. It should be like damp to dry. And if you think there is more water on your brush, just go and dab it on the paper towel. You can see there's nothing coming out. That means my brush is perfect for this next step. I'm using the belly of my brush to paint water, which gives it that shine. I'm going to continue building the depth. This is too much shine according to me, so I'm going to continue, going in again with the blue. You can vary your color. The more tonal values that you have in the water, the more real it looks. So I went in with the lightest value first, and then I'm keeping on adding more saturated pigment. We're just keeping it loose. We're not doing a realistic painting, so that works in our favor. We can take some artistic liberties here. At least I am doing it. So yeah, this is what my water looks like. I am happy with it. Now we're going to go in with the palms. Are you guys planning to paint it later? So now for the palms, I'll have to dry this again, otherwise they will bleed into my water. So I'm going to mute myself when I dry it. If you'd like me to go slower on certain areas and if there is anything that I'm missing in my instructions, let me know. I love how this is glowing. It is just the right glow that we wanted for our palms. Now I want to also share. So let me paint my palms now. So for that, first I'm going to do is create the guidelines. I do not want to mess up on where they are placed. So this is my first palm going to be. This is where my second palm is going to be. And just give the directional lines. You don't need to paint it perfectly. Just a little bit of direction works. Don't need to sketch every line, otherwise it'll look very caricaturish and very stiff. You want to paint loose, then this is your first um, most important tip, that you need to keep it loose, and you need to make sure that you don't, you know, draw every petal every bit with your pencil. Just have a guideline. So I'm going to start with the yellow, like I mentioned, because this is glowing. This is sunset. I want my palms also to have that glow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just have the underpainting for the palm with the yellow color. If you have yellow ochre, go for it because that will give you the most natural looking palms. I don't have it on my palette, so I'm going in with the Hansa yellow mixed with Indian yellow. So what I'm doing is I'm essentially just flicking. So this is what I'm doing. I'm going to show it to you on this paper. So I'm taking, this brush has a lovely tip. So what I'm doing is I'm essentially just doing this, creating the small C curves in, this is the center of the palm, the vein. So I'm just going along the line and then pulling the strokes down so that it looks like those small blades. So that's what I'm doing with the yellow right now. We don't need to be very accurate, very fancy. We can just go about. And this is my bigger brush too. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush, but for now this works because I just need underpainting. I need it to glow from underneath. Like you can see, this is kind of glowing because I had that underpainting. So I'm just doing that. I'm trying to get that feel. And that's it. Now I'm going to go in with the trunk. So for the trunk, I'm going to paint with the Indian yellow mixed with burnt sienna because I want that to glow on certain areas. So I'm going to flip my paper because I'm more comfortable with horizontal lines. And the trunk is thicker on the bottom, so make sure you kind of use the pressure. And that's it. I am going to change the way my trunk is with adding a little more red tone. You can add a little blue. I have this maroon or red brown color. I'm going to use that in certain areas. let the glow pop on the center, because this is where the palm is actually glowing. So I want it to be emphasized. And now we're going to go in with the green. I'm going to use my thinner brush. So I'm using the Princeton round number 3. Uh, I'm missing my number 2 brush from my desk right now because I was painting last night. So let's go in, create our green. So I'm using again my cobalt blue and mixing it with the yellow on my palette for now. This is the darker green. I'm going to mix a little bit of Hansa yellow. Yeah, and this is the green that I'm going to use. Hey Johnny, how are you? I wasn't paying attention to the chat. Just got lost in the painting. Thanks for joining. Might have to saturate a little bit more because there's too much water on the palette right now. And this is the most therapeutic part of painting palms. I feel like painting blades and just suggesting those is just so repetitive and a little mindless after a point that you kind of just lose yourself and start enjoying the painting. I'm moving my paper around because there are certain places where it's wet. I do not want to be touching it. It makes for better control for me. I want to deepen these colors, so I'm just going in with the blue and then dropping it at places. I'm not painting each blade. There is something on this brush that's bothering me. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to leave this palm alone for now and then move to the next one because I think that is too wet and puddly. So I'm just keeping on repeating the same steps. As you can see, there is absolutely nothing new here. I am going to keep creating the blades. The more you practice your brush strokes, the better you get at doing this. And now we're going to add the shadows, taking a little bit of Payne's gray into the same green. Because the sun is not hitting on the bottom of these palm trees or in the center, even the sun is not able to reach. So I'm trying to deepen those areas. The more you focus on your lights and darks, the more attractive the painting becomes and you get the depth. And that's it. I don't know if I should add some birds here. Just type in birds and I'll add. If nobody types in, I'll just leave it at this. I'll add a little bit of a bush in the meanwhile. I don't think this is needed, but just keeping it close to the painting that I'm following. Yeah, so that's it. I don't think anybody voted for birds or replied back, so I'm going to keep it simple, and this is how it is. I hope you enjoyed. I could go a little darker on the palm. I think I should before I close out on today because I think this part could be a little more darker. I think I should dry it first before I go in, otherwise it'll be a bit. Also, I stream every Friday 9 a.m. and I try to create a poll so that I know what exactly you guys are looking forward to see, and I try to keep the subjects as beginner friendly as possible, along with keeping some skills which you would like to learn in mind so that there is no monotonous subjects being there. So do try and answer the poll if you're interested in these live learning sessions or tutorials or demos, whatever we can call them. Um, so yeah, try to let me know what you would like to paint. What would you like me to paint in the next live? So that it's not something that I am picking without your knowledge or without keeping in mind your interest. Um, Also, I have this ACEO on sale on eBay. So if you would